some more. Heartbeats racing, time to fight. Show them all our endless might. Fight to the top. Don't ever stop. Fight to the top. Give it all you got. Pain and glory on the floor. Warriors, we want some more. Heartbeats racing, time to fight. Show them all our endless might. Fight to the top. Don't ever stop. Fight to the top.
Oh, here we go again. Here we go again, everybody. This is the Cruise Corner live stream. And we are at, what is it, episode 25?
Yes, sir.
Your favorite, most wonderful live stream in the Muay Thai arena.
Can you guess who sang that, Julio?
No. Is that you?
That's Brandon. Brandon's
Okay.
beautiful voice right there, man. Yeah. Nice. You got the live acoustic, man. How are you, Julio?
I'm good, man. How are you guys?
Thanks for joining us on our show. I saw that you had posted. I like your posts because like you post some interesting questions, right? Like it's not
Provocative.
they're provocative, and I like that. I think you ask questions that are a little more common sense, that kind of maybe push the boundaries of tradition a little bit. But at the end of the day, like that's what we want to do. We want the sport to grow and evolve in a way that people like. And so I feel like it was a good show topic, and so I had to have you on. I asked you right on that thread to have you on and discuss it. I've seen a lot of like back and forth about having ranking systems and not, and yeah, let's talk about it. But first, welcome to the show. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself? People haven't met you. What's your role in the sport? What have you done? And yeah, just tell us a little bit about your history.
Yeah, well, man, I started Muay Thai when I was 6. I started over at what is named the first Muay Thai school in America, which is Muay Thai Academy. It's in North Hollywood.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I started training. I trained under Saxon Jinjira, which is
Nice.
obviously hence the name, right?
Right.
Yeah, he was one of the coaches there, and yeah, man, I was really fortunate to find that gym. I got to at that time I started, I want to say in 91. I had the opportunity to see a lot of like Thai fighters come through those doors, We had Malaped, we had Koban, Saxon, just active Thai fighters coming to the gym and having like guest appearances, sometimes teach the classes. So since I was a little kid, man, I've been exposed to the sport. I competed a little bit up until the age of 17.
Nice.
And yeah, I stopped competing because my coach left. My coach ended up moving to Texas.
Right.
And yeah, man, once he left, I tried sticking with it. I tried training with other coaches, and it just wasn't the same, man. So I fell off. Yeah, man. Yeah. No knock on any other coach, but it's just I had a little special connection with my coach.
Sure.
I grew up with him, man, from 6 to 17. We're talking about 11 years. And then fell off for about, I want to say 2-3 years. Worked in the corporate world for a little bit. I was in banking, and
can you imagine? We've all met Julio. He does not speak banking to me when I you're such an eccentric. You know what I mean? Like it's just a very difficult thing to imagine you in a suit at the back of a teller bank trying to sell a mortgage or something. Good for you, man. So go ahead. Yeah. So you went into banking a little bit?
Yeah, I started banking, and it was going well, man. To be honest with you, I started managing my own branch.
Holy cow!
And yeah, Yeah, I worked for Wells and Chase for a little bit, and then man, it was just to be honest, it was just boring. 8 to 5, and I grew pretty quickly in the company, and I just kind of I'm always looking ahead, man, and I kept looking ahead, and it didn't make me happy. And at the time, my dad was still teaching. He was teaching over at a fitness center,
Okay.
and he kind of told me, he's like, man, come over, come help me with the classes. And from there, man, I started helping him, and within a month, I was like, yeah, we need to open up our own spot,
No
and we did.
shit. That's a lot, man.
Yeah,
That's quick. In a month? How many people did you have
yeah.
in a month?
Well, when I started with my dad and we worked, man, really quick story, and a lot of my students know this story, but
My
my
favorite.
dad taught at a fitness center, and at that fitness center, we had a time slot from 6 to 7, and from 7 to 8 was a yoga class. So we had to like, do
Shut
our
up.
thing, and then yeah, exactly, and then be done, clean the mats, and just be quiet because yoga was coming in, and it was the owner actually that kind of kept pushing us a little bit. She's like, "Hey, you guys got to be done quicker," and then it was, "You guys got to be quiet. You guys are making too much noise." And this happened on a Friday, man. On a Friday, she it got a little personal with her, and
Oh,
and I
wow.
just yeah, man. I told my dad, I'm like, man, we don't need that. We left that Friday. I told him, and because of my banking connections, I had a buddy who actually had some like properties and stuff, and he was like, man, why don't you just go look at a spot? It's not that expensive. I went on a Saturday. I saw some of his spots. It was too big. I was scared. I was like, yeah, we can't do that. And right before we almost, this was Saturday still, I looked at one last spot, and normally you meet like an agent or whatever, but I actually met the owner. The owner showed us the property, and I told her what I was trying to do. And on Sunday, she called me. She's like, hey, if you guys want to start on Monday, she's like, you can come on Monday. So on Sunday, had a little breakfast with my family, my mom, my dad, my girlfriend at the time was my wife now. And I just told them, I'm like, hey, I'm ready to go in if you guys want to go in on this. And we did. We made that decision on a Sunday. Monday morning, we called a couple of the students. We started with six students. And
Wow. 6 students, bro.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
not making money with 6 students in a big
No,
place.
not at all.
Even in a
And
small
here's,
place.
yeah, yeah,
Amazing. And you built it to what it is today. It's a pretty big ass gym, bro.
yeah.
You're doing well. I see you on Instagram. You're posting, you're hustling, you're doing a show now. I mean, I sent you a list. Hopefully I'll get some matches on there.
Oh, yeah,
You're
definitely.
killing it, bro.
That's the
Like
dream, man, for entrepreneur too, right? To be able to say you took something from zero and built
literally
it to what
from
it is
6
today.
people.
Congratulations on that. Stoked.
Congrats, bro. That's a
Thank
testament
you,
to your
guys.
hustle, to your hard work.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So with that being said, now you are where you are, and now you're posting some kind of cool stuff, and I like the I like what you posted about a ranking system. And I don't know if everybody understands what we mean by ranking system, but like it's like a belt system, right? Like karate has a
Yeah.
belt system. I know that Taekwondo has a universal ranking system. It is practiced exactly the same all over the world, the exact same standards. And it's governed by what they call Kuki One, which would be basically Bangkok of Taekwondo, right? There's this governing body. And if you want to rank up, you have to send, like a form, you have to pay the thing. You can only be ranked by a certain level of black belt. Like there's a very intricate system to kind of make sure that the hierarchy isn't broken or it doesn't get watered down. Unfortunately, it still did get watered down and there were things in the system, but the system is in place today. If you look up Kuki One Taekwondo, like the Kuki One headquarters, you can't compete in Olympic Taekwondo collegiates, nationals, Olympic trials without a second degree. Last time I checked, without a second degree black belt. which is good, right? Well, then you can't just skip the freaking line. You have to do
Yeah.
the work. You have to learn the skill set. And if you get to a second degree black belt the way that they say you're supposed to get it, then you're allowed to try out to compete for the Olympics, which I think is a great idea for Muay Thai. I think it's a necessary thing. A lot of people thought we were talking about like a top 10 ranking. But I feel like a universal ranking system, like a belt system. What were your thoughts on how a ranking system would work in Muay Thai?
Man, to be honest with you, like my coach has a ranking system. Um, he uses like the armbands. And when I first opened the gym, this was back in 2010. He brought over Samad, and I want to say like the first 2 years, he would come in, he'd do a seminar, and then he would evaluate my students. I can't remember the colors, how it goes, but it's not your traditional white, red, or white, blue, purple. It was different, and there was up to like 12 levels. And when he came, I just remember a lot of my students getting excited for that. I remember a lot of my students getting excited because they wanted to know where they stood as far as their technique, their Muay Thai skills, and whatnot. But I think I circled back to the idea because I'm talking to you now, and I'm 14 years in, okay? And I know we think about Muay Thai, and you think about fighting and fighting only. I got 2 gyms now. I got 8 coaches at my other gym, and I got 2 coaches here at my gym here. There's definitely other paths that you can take besides being a fighter, and I think there's a lot of opportunities there that a lot of people are missing out. And trust me, I love competing. If you see me, we try to be on every show, man. I travel, I'll go anywhere.
You're everywhere.
Where my students now, they'll tell me like, hey, I got to fight in Arizona, I got to fight in Vegas. I'm like, all right, cool, let's go. But if I were to grab the percentages from my own gym, and I want to say that my gym probably has one of the most, I want to say 15 to 20% are fighters or have fought. That train at my gym now.
If you have 15-20% active fighters, I would break my own head. That's a lot.
What I probably do, man. Considering like we just finished MMA practice, and it was 30 of them, and all 30 of them fight. Half of them have fights coming up the next 6 weeks. Yeah, man. So when we started small, it was great. It was me, my dad, and man, I'm gonna use the word micromanage, even though I hate that coming from the corporate world. But I would have to micromanage every session, every camp.
It's your baby.
As a team. It is. It is.
You have to make sure the quality's up to play, and it's not 100%. And it's someone's health and well-being, right? If it's done incorrectly, they could get severely hurt.
Exactly.
So I always get that part of it when coaches kind of watch that.
Yeah, man. I always tell them, like you can't get hurt playing tennis. I mean, you can, but like here, you lose, you could get hurt. And that's something that I always. Yeah, you win exactly. How many sports do you win and you're probably still out 4 months, 3 months?
I've been there, bro.
Yeah, so man, like I said, I was kind of taking the percentages, and I have some longtime students, and I got some great students, man. Some of them that, whether it was lifestyle, family, relocating, they just couldn't fight. Everyone knows, like from the beginning, my expectations for you to be a fighter, I would hold you accountable for a lot of things, and I would demand a lot of things. And one thing that I always tell people, like I've finally traveled to Thailand. I went to Thailand the last 2-3 years now, and I kind of felt like I knew how it was just because I trained with Thais. Like I was around Thai fighters all the time, so I felt like I had a good idea. But actually going over there, the one thing you've got to realize when you're in Thailand is you're not working. You're there on vacation, and you're there just training. And you don't have that liberty here. When you come back home, reality sets in, and you're like, oh wait, I got an 8 to 5. I got to pick up my kids, or I got to, something. And you can't train morning and night. And I have a lot of those students. I cater to a lot of those people that have that lifestyle. And man, I can tell you just from my gym alone, I'm going to use percentages here. I have like 10% of people that have trained with me, have stayed with me, and probably would have been some really good fighters, but they just didn't have the time to.
Oh, you might have got
And
muted. There he is.
We lost
I
you
did
there for a
that-
minute. You got muted.
You're
Sorry
good
about
now.
that. What did you say? Last 10 seconds there.
We're good.
Yeah, about 10% of your athletes could have been great, and then you muted.
Yeah, they would have been great fighters. But they just couldn't be fighters. They didn't have the time or lifestyle or whatever. And now they're coaches, and they've kind of, man, I've employed these guys now. They're on payroll, and they teach classes. Some of them actually run the fight practices. And I was looking at that avenue where, there's sometimes people cannot compete. Like where can we rank them? So, I want to have people understand that, just because you fought 100 times doesn't mean that you're going to be a great coach. And that's the reality. And
I've seen some great fighters turn into absolutely atrocious coaches. And I don't
Yeah.
where are you getting this coaching style? That's just their athletes don't do well. And then I've seen coaches that fought 3 times producing world champions. I'm like, what the hell? So it's
Yeah.
a skill in it's by itself, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, so that's where I was taking it, man. I feel like if there was some sort of rankings, then you have people that can, maybe become a coach, become a trainer, later on be a business owner. And man, on the business side of it too, if fighters only like to train to fight, and that's the reality. If you talk to most fighters, the only way you keep them in the gym is if they know they have a fight coming up. There has to be a purpose for your regular hobbyist, that's just doing this for fun. If you can give them something to shoot for, there's a commitment there. You have a longer commitment now. And I'm all about lineage too, man. And I like to keep that, and just looking again, using my numbers, my stats. 2, 3 of my best coaches, stepped into the ring 2 or 3 times, and now they're doing great. They're doing amazing. So that's where I was kind of taking it with that. And for the regular student too, you have a class of 30. Chances are that half of those students in there, they just they want to get a workout. And now you tell them hey, there's rankings involved. Then you can build off of that,
Right.
just like jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
Now here's the question, right? I have a question about this. Because there's theory, right? And I like your theory. But do you think it works? Let me start with this question. Do you do it with the adults at your gym right now?
Do I do the rankings?
Do you have a ranking system for your adult?
No.
Okay.
No.
Why is that?
Man, I just never got around to it. But I'm getting now, man, I'm always kind of dipping my feet into different things, man. Like you mentioned earlier. Yeah, I started promoting, then I opened up my new gym. I'm always trying to upgrade my gym. And now now that I have coaches in place, and I've my schedule as far as teaching is kind of cleared. I do privates now. I train some of the fighters. I'm looking and I get to sit back, which I never really got to do. I get to sit back and I get to watch classes. And honestly, man, some of the most consistent people are just regular students.
Yep.
Some of the people that are not in there are just waiting to get a fight or something. And I'm to be exact, man, the beginning of this year, I started sitting down and I started pointing. I'm like, damn, they've been with me 8 years. They've been with me 6 years. And I look at their technique and I'm like, their technique's better than, so-and-so.
Your athletes.
And yeah, man, not all of them. If they're watching, I don't want them to think like that, but yeah.
Hey, man, let them hear it because it'll make them more consistent, I would say.
Yeah,
100%.
I call them.
I'll say it for my gym because I've been in the game for 20 years. I've had a gym for 20 years now. Actually, 21 in September will be our 21st anniversary. And I'll say that shit. Absolutely. I have guys that never fought, literally train every day. I have a couple people, like, I'm not kidding, 15 years in. Every like Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I can name them. They come in, they train. Tiago, I don't want to go. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. I'm like, okay, cool. I never bothered them about it again. Never again. I was like, if you ever want to fight, you literally have 15 years in this thing. You can try it out. I would say yes. They don't even want to spar. They just want to come, hit the pads, do the technique, do the workout. They like to, do the thing. Dude, they don't miss. They come in more than my athletes. More than my athletes.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like you said, they look better. Their technique is cleaner. They're more fluid in their movement. And they're not trying so hard to be like fighters. They're just trying to learn the sport. And I feel like when you obsess over the technique and not over the fighting is when you really become like deadly in the game.
Yeah.
I'll say it. I'll say it for you, my friend.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I take what I said back.
But that's good.
Yeah.
I hope my fighters are listening because then I'm like, yeah, bro, get your ass back in the gym. To get beat up by a noob.
Yeah.
Julio, how far along have you developed your own type of ranking booklet, some sort of system that you have that you guys use?
What do you mean? Like what? Like when did I kind of start
Have you developed
ranking?
anything? Have you
Like,
developed?
I know you had the
Julio?
armbands, and that came, and I guess did it fizzle out, or it just kind of just
Well,
went away?
my coach was the one that was doing it. I've never done it personally, but I'm probably gonna do it, to be honest with you. Saxon has a son. His name's Pong Jinjira. He's got a gym over in Texas too, and I've been kind of collabing with him a little bit. And I'm like, hey man, let's pick up where your dad left off, and let's kind of have something within our schools, something where like I can go to his gym, evaluate his guys, he can come to mine, evaluate mine, and we just take it from there.
We started I've had a ranking system for about 12 years with the kids. More than that, about 15 years, because I'm the only reason I know that is because one of the first kids I ranked up she's now in college. So she's actually, no, I'm sorry. She graduated college. She's married. So, and she was like 6. So has to be well over 15 years. And I've only done it for the kids. I've always struggled to do it for the adults and sell it for an adult program because adults feel silly being tested, right? They feel like they're in a kid's karate class. Now, but that was the thing that I was curious to see if you had a solution for, because I've only done it with the kids and it's been incredibly successful for my youth programs because I started with Taekwondo. I know how to develop a ranking system. I kind of mirrored it because those guys really developed a good system. The only thing that's missing is that universal kind of situation where it's standardized across the world. And what that would take is a WBC or a USMF or whatever organization that has international clout to go, hey guys, this is the standard now. You need to follow it. And we're going to put backing behind it, which means I'll send you a official certificate if XYZ, right?
Yeah.
Fortunately, nobody wants to do that. I wanted to do it. I have a very intricate ranking system that's literally produced gold medals in IFMA. It's produced a lot of really good athletes from the ground up as kids. But I've always struggled to do it for adults because it doesn't have, it's just something I created, right? It's not something that's like that's real in Thailand or in any other country in the world. You don't really see a ranking system. So if they go there, they're going to go, oh, I'm a black belt in Muay Thai. And they're going to look at them like, what the fuck is that? What is a black belt in Muay Thai? But if it was standardized, right? That's the issue that I was going to ask you about, was like, if you had an answer for something like that, or what would be your answer for something like that?
You know, so here's, I don't know if this is going to answer it, but I'll tell you this. So I think, me personally, I can't speak for everybody, but me personally, the first time I got introduced to a black belt in Muay Thai was watching MMA. You were watching MMA fights and you'd hear this guy is a Brazilian black belt in Muay Thai. and you know, that started kind of making its wave, and I was like, what is that? What is that? Started looking into it, and they have a belching system, right?
Right.
So once I kind of started hearing that, the idea popped into my head. And now we fast forward now, and I was like, man, I got to have something like this so I can, it's not even, I mean, I want to almost say retain some of my students, because some of them kind of just lose interest, where it's like, well, I'm never going to fight. Well, how about getting ranked? You know, how about, you know, saying that you stuck with something for so long? Because I'm a big fan of that, man. I'm like, you start something, try to finish it, you know, or see how high you can get up there, you know?
Sure.
So once that popped into my head, I'm like, all right, I'm a sprinkle the idea out there. And I think it started, what was this, like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. I posted, you know, what do you guys think of a ranking system? And then my next question, and I put this on Instagram, I said, if there is a ranking, and I used the colors that jiu-jitsu uses, white, blue, purple, brown, and black. And I asked my students, I said, if you were to be ranked, where do you think you're ranked? And a lot of them answered, man. I had I want to say over 400 people respond to it. And I had time. I went over there and I'm like, I wanted to look at who thought they were a blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, black belt. And the very next day that I went back to my gym, I brought up the idea again. I'm like, oh, so some of you guys think you're brown belts, you know? And yeah. And I kind of did I did a class. I don't even know, man. I just thought of something in my head. I was like, I did a class. I'm like, we're going to shadow box. We're going to play spar. We're going to hit the bag, and we're going to hit pads. And I started pointing out little things. Like, I'd go up to somebody and be like, hey, brown belt, you're crossing your legs when you're kicking. Hey, blue belt, you know, you're not even helping your partner. You know, hey, black belt, you're beating up the white belt. That's not black belt level. You know, so I started kind of sprinkling those things in there. And if I'm honest, and I think it's just the way that I am with people, I didn't get any negative feedback. As a matter of fact, that after the class was over, and it's funny because they all waited after class. You know, I had like a line. Yeah, I had a line of people, and they're like, oh, "Coach, what do you think I am?" I'm like, "All right, well, I'm not purple. What do you think I am?" And I got exactly what I wanted, man. That's what I wanted. I wanted to just plant the seed for everybody and be like, hey, you know, even if you've been here, here's another thing that I always tell people too, you know, somebody can say they've been training Muay Thai for 3 years, 4 years. Okay. First of all, 4 years is not that long. I tell my students all the time, I'm like, if you've trained Muay Thai for 2 years, you're brand new to me. You know, 4 years is a high school career. How much do you remember about high school? Not that much. And that's you going to high school 7 hours a day, 5 days out of the week. Most people go to the gym 1 hour for 3 days out of the week. So if you accumulate all those hours,
that's generous.
Yeah, you know, I'm talking about like the medium, right?
Right.
But if you accumulate all those hours, man, you probably got an employee for about 160 hours total. Like, how good do you think you're going to be at your job with 160 hours under your belt, spread out in a span of 2 years, 3 years? So immediately, like, I started just kind of talking and letting everybody know, like, hey, man, this is the reality, you know, like, Muay Thai is an art, you know, it's like a language, you know.
I think you just planted a seed in my brain a little bit, because
yeah, man,
value, I think, is not really the certificate or the belt, but it's the feedback. And
yeah, 100%.
Right? Like, it's the specific stuff, because You know, that's funny because I do get I when I move people up, I have 3 levels for the adults. It's really beginners, intermediate, advanced, right? And then you become an athlete. It usually takes about consistent training. I've seen as quick as a year, which is incredibly fast. Like you're here every day, right? To like usually about 2 years, 2.5 years to get to the advanced. I'm not saying fighting, but get to it advanced. They're consistently training and you know, they really listen, they take everything seriously. And I always get the same question. What do I need to do to move up to the next level? What do I need to do? Because it'll usually I'll be watching them and I'll just tap them on the shoulder and be like, hey, intermediate from here on out. And they're like, oh my God, really? Like, yep, just it's all good. Just I'll see you tomorrow, but not at this time. Move up. This is remedial for you. And then half the class sees that happen. I usually try to be quiet about it, but it's usually like, oh shit, man, I got to, yeah, fucking, you know, they're high fiving. They're like, yes. And I'm like, shit. And then at the end of that class, half the fucking class comes up to me like, what do I need to do to get intermediate? What do I need to do? And you know what's funny? A test, because that's how I do the kids. I have a sheet of paper, all my standardized stuff. I grade each part of it. My staff does too. And then if they are at a certain percentage level, you move up. And if they're not, I'll see you in 3 months. And it does really help all the staff members know where you're at exactly, right? Like what you need to work on. Hey, when we do clinch work, you shouldn't miss that because you suck at clinch. You know, when we do boxing, maybe show up a little bit more on that class because you drop your left hand all day long. It's very easy to hit you there. You know, I like the way you think, man. You definitely have a very very open way of attacking problems, right? And it's not the traditional way, I would say. But your reputation and your results speak for themselves. You've produced a lot of really great athletes and continue to do so.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I think I like this conversation. Like Brandon, you
I'm
have
ready to spice it up, brother. You know I am. I got some things.
Yeah.
So
spice it up, baby. Let's go.
So I'm going to share with you guys a lot of what's already been done and developed so that everybody can review. And there are associations that exist. They're very hard to find and far and few between. And actually, Tiago did work on a little bit for a small period when we were involved with the International Federation. We were really trying to help move some initiatives forward. And we became aware of something that they were pushing called IMAES system. And then with that, it's actually based on, so there's a website, and this gentleman, let me see if I can, I'm going to present a little bit. So let me pull up the right window. This is all serious. So this is the guy right here. All right. And what he's done though is put together a ton of information on this on a website. So you can actually see the full background. Where's there? Here. Okay. The Crew Muay Thai Association, where they give a full understanding of the con exams from con 1 to 10. So the grading system that's been used for quite some time is the con system. And then there's a video here where Grandmaster Woody explains the con system. So this has been up for quite some time, and you'll see on this page, we're not going to go through a ton of it, but you can actually see that this is derived from Boran, Muay Thai Boran originally, and then they've modified this, alongside some other martial arts, the Dan system and other things, to actually get it to where it was. And you'll see in here 1975 when Masters Woody, Toddy, right, you have a couple names here that got together to share these methods that started taking a little bit of root. So it's been here and available for a little while. It wasn't
Talking
really
half a century.
well, but it wasn't pushed, right? So here,
Nobody spoke of it ever.
it's never, because all the Muay Thai gyms are separate. Everybody does their own thing. There was no, the lineage is changed, right? So here,
Jonathan Poot said they were best buds.
so
Master
this
Woody and Master Toddy.
So this is your con system, like ascension model, starting with the white Mongol and con 1. And then they actually have your PDF document that shows you from the basic con levels, like how what is supposed to be taught through that. And this is not, I'm just showing their material. Some of it's formal, some of it's informal. I've seen other things, and I'm going to show you another video in a second that's pretty interesting that another group did as well. That's 3D, like exactly how to punch a certain punch in Muay Thai. So at any rate, this exists and it's out there. It's definitely not, very formal, but you have, the straight punch, uppercut punch, hook punch, swing punch, different variations, blocking, elbow techniques. And then, when you're grading, I think you get down in here. Here's the grade 1, the white armband, like you were talking about. Okay, so this is the white Prajad. And then they would also, I know some people also use the Mongols. So now you can wear the white Mongol, the white Prajad, because you've passed con 1. And so here's the grade, the exercise, the stretching, jogging, skipping, footwork, lower upper body, and it goes on pretty in depth. I mean, so don't want to spend too much time, but that actually is available. And then this is the sorry, here is the better view. This is the crew system. So for teachers, so then you have Mongol 1, which is known as con 11. And then you have, so these would ascend past con 10 to where you're at con 19. You're a senior grandmaster with the golden Mongol, and so that allows you to wear the golden Prajads and that sort of thing. So just wanted to share that. Everybody, if you want to look, there's a lot of history on this website. It's muaysena.com, SENA. And the video here, I don't think I'm going to share the audio. I don't know if that's connected to do that or not, but I'm going to press play. Let me know if so I don't know if is there any audio on that, guys, or no?
I hear music in the
I didn't
background.
hear anything. Like it's super slow.
Oh, you heard some music? All
It's
right.
very
Using my
low.
imagination to fill in the audio.
Yeah, so basically, so I'm going to just mute this for now, but you guys can go take a look at this. You'll find out that a lot of this has been deprecated because nobody ever used it. So it actually, the website it goes to is no longer existing. They put a ton of money, a ton of time into this. They ended up doing where the guys came in and they were wearing all the 3D equipment to get the exact movements of each punch. I mean, they really went wild with it.
I remember there was a whole seminar where you had to wear the brown robe and you had to get the paint on your face and
Exactly.
all
Yeah,
these
it's
different
all
things and
everything.
but it was cool because it kind of mirrored traditional martial arts. And to actually one of our viewers gave us a message was a unified ranking system would elevate the sport overall, but also improve matchmaking for beginners with youth events. Better matchmaking improves fighter health and safety. That's a really great point.
Yeah.
That's a really great point because if there was a universal ranking system and not everybody's ranking system was created very much unequal, right? Like there's going to be standards. Let's say I do a 1 through 10. My standard for a 1 may be much higher than somebody else's standard for a 1. And, it might, but if it's universal and everybody goes, hey, This is what they need to be competent in at level 1, at con 2, at con 3, at con 4. And now you can kind of evaluate the schools in competition. Well, why is this con 1 doesn't know how to punch still? That was literally all they were supposed to learn.
Some of this is what I was trying to show you guys, right? Is like, look at it. They've tried a lot of different times, really,
but they
tried to
didn't
do
make it
this.
mandatory. That was the
Well,
mistake.
but they've definitely made attempts. So this is now, I want to show you in one of our this is IFMA's website.
I remember this.
And this is everything tagged IGLA, which is when they were trying to push this. Look
IGLA.
at the last date of the last news, 2019. That's 5 years ago. The last thing ever mentioned of this, right?
Well, here's how Taekwondo pulled it off, because I started Taekwondo before it was Olympic. Okay. And what they did was they based their ranking system strictly on your ability to get into the Olympics. You could not get into the Olympics without going through this system. And they said, if you don't, fuck you. You're not getting in. I don't care how good you are. And it worked. It took a couple years, but everybody followed suit. And it made it one of the most profitable martial arts at the time. That's one. You need a profit for things to continue. And two, it standardized it across the globe. There was no question if you were a black belt and you would compete as a black belt. And then they go, that's your black belt? Your black belt looks like shit, right? And then they go, that school sucks. Their standards are low and your black belt is not up to par. They're just a black belt factory, right? And I think the mistake was for IFMA was not to make it the first priority. They could have unified the whole world. And I'm going to probably kick myself in my own face for saying that, because if they now start listening and go, oh shit, that's how we make it profitable. Because I promise you, if they would have done that, the whole world would have followed suit. It would have been a free tool for every Muay Thai gym in the entire world to go, even if I've never had a fight, I could have grabbed that and I could have went, okay, I can learn this system. I can teach this system. And then I can tell people that this certificate has value and it's a ticket for you to get into the Olympics. Dude, that system carried Taekwondo into decades of success until all the fraud. I'm not even going into that. It's a whole nother show on the Olympic fraud. It was massive, massive, massive fraud. And I also see inklings of this in our world as well.
They had a problem getting buy-in, right?
History repeats itself clearly because I'm watching it happen.
It's in
real time. It's insane. I've lived it as an athlete, and now I'm watching it go, oh shit, this is happening exactly the same way. And it happens in almost every combat sport that goes into the Olympics. But I think that's what if you really wanted to explode, when you said that, the ranking system, I think it should be universal. And I think it should be mandatory to compete at world championship level IFMA. At youth world championship level, you should be a certain level, Con 10, Con 8. They even made it that you can't be a black belt. Taekwondo, you can't be a black belt unless you're a certain age. You can't get a second degree black belt unless you're a certain age. So you can't have a 5-year-old kid as a master. I'm not calling no 5-year-old kid that I can punt across the room a master. You have to be a certain age or a certain maturity and ability to teach. And then you can't rank people without a certain ranking. So if I'm Con 10 or Con, let's say they go up to Con 20 or crew, right? I'm the first Moncol. Now I can rank people up. Like I said, like it starts to actually, like once you look at these things, you go, holy shit, it could actually work. if you make it mandatory, because that's your access into the Olympics, adults will follow suit. What are your thoughts on that, Julio?
Yeah, it makes sense. You know, it's obviously complicated, you know, to get everybody on the same page. But I honestly think that one of the first steps is us doing it in house. You know, you
I
do
think
it
a
in
lot of
house
people
first.
do it in house. I think a
Yeah,
lot of people do it in house. As a matter of fact, did
yeah.
anybody get a look at that poll on? Did anybody get a look at that poll? I don't think there's a lot of pushback if that were to
No.
happen,
Yeah.
especially in the U.S. I don't think there would be a lot of pushback. I think if WBC or IFMA said this is now mandatory, I think everybody would be like, okay, cool. Like, thank you so much. Fucking great.
Yeah.
Took the whole problem out of my hands. I didn't want to do the curriculum. Thank you. Just hand it over and I'll do it. I think that's
Yeah.
exactly what would happen. And not to mention, they would make an entire ass load of money because you'd have to pay for those certificates. You'd have to pay the federation for those, even if it's a nominal amount, $30. Think about $30 worldwide for every single Muay Thai athlete every time they rank up. Scale that. It's a lot of money.
Hey,
Yeah.
so I gotta throw this out there, guys, because this is probably the best comment we received to date. So I gotta throw this up there. Dr. Joff Southcote says, "I bet MMA octagons smell like ass." With a little.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I just had to put it up, you know, because that is just.
Thank you,
super
Dr.
relevant.
Jeff, for that
Dr.
amazing
Joffrey.
comment. That
Makes
just,
sense.
you know,
No, but Julio too. Like we were talking about what I was showing with the con system and some of the stuff, the IGLA thing that's been pushed. Like what, you know, when you look at some of that and you know how many people have probably put some heart and soul into that, is that something that you would consider like using maybe some meat and potatoes of that and then
Yeah, you know, I couldn't really see. I'm on my phone, so like the text is
Hard to
really
see it.
small. But I was able to see the colors, and man, I got to look back at because I have like a little addendum that my coach put together. I want to say that the colors were the same.
The
I saw
same
like
colors.
a green, white. Yeah,
He
so
probably used that.
yeah, man.
Oh.
Like Saxon was competing in the '90s here in California, and
That was
during that
created in
time.
1975.
I saw Toddy's name in there, and what I was
Yep.
going to say was, when Saxon was competing, a lot of the guys that he fought against was with Master Master Toddy's students. Man, I
He
might be
was
just
big into
throwing
that.
random names out there, but Ben Garcia was one of them, Kid Cope, but all those guys, and I know from just being across the ring from Master Toddy, there was a connection there with Saxon and Toddy, and that's probably where it kind of came about, if I'm honest. Um, but it definitely looked like something that Saxon kind of had going on already.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I mean, it makes sense. It just makes sense. I've been doing it with the kids for a long time.
I was going to show you where we were talking about the adults. I think Tiago asked that question too. And
Yeah.
when I was at an IFMA event helping out in the administration, one of the tables was registering people for an IGLA seminar. And so I was going to show you guys real quick too. This is 70 adults actually at this IGLA seminar that
Now,
was at IFMA.
I know all the people that were there. Can
Well,
I
this
say what they said
is
about
the-
it though?
This is the UAE specifically. Not this is a whole.
Oh,
nother-
this is not
they've done,
the. Okay, never mind.
They've done a few
Go
of
for it.
them, right? It's different ones for the
The one in Thailand was
But
interesting.
we're also talking about only competitive athletes again, right? Because if
Sure.
it rolls out here, those are the only people that are at IFMA is the people who have thousands of dollars and they're holding fundraisers and whatever else they got to do to, do all that. But this is the UAE Muay Thai holding 70 instructors in this IMAES at the time, but obviously I think that they kind of didn't get the traction and now it's gone away essentially. So it's there, but it's not
So
being pushed.
when we did it here, and this is why my gripe with the adults. So because they're I don't know if you ever heard this, but it was the Grandmaster Burrito Supreme because we were wrapped in brown stuff and we had like dots on our head, and we, like it was just like they were. Jonathan Pooh kind of made that. He quoted it too because he said it. He's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Grandmaster Burrito Supreme," and I'm like, "Yep, it was the Burrito Master Supreme. That's what it was." I just looked. I kind of had to scroll up, but they laughed it off. They laughed it off, right? They thought they were too cool.
Money grab.
thing.
Money grab.
It's a
We
money
did
grab,
that a
and you
lot.
know what? I think it is. But when done correctly, if you really add value to that title, people would follow suit. If you make that, like, I'm gonna say it again. Maybe somebody hears me. Maybe, hey Patrick, but fucking listen. Someone's got to do it. Because if I'm doing it, then nobody's freaking picking it up. I don't have WBC backing and all this stuff. I would happily do something like that. I would happily develop and be in charge of education.
They'll take all our ideas as long as we don't want money in compensation.
As long as we don't want money.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck.
Yeah.
I've been pushing
We'll
this.
take Bitcoin. How about some Bitcoin then?
Oh, I'll take some Ethereum. I might even take some.
Ethereum doing well right now.
We'll take some
Shit.
Shibus even. No problem.
Yeah, man. I feel like
I mean, they need that money because right now their athletes have to pay their own way to get to Paris, and that's not a
it's
good look.
horrible. What kind of, you got to fundraise your own self and pay if you worked for 20 years in a sport and they can't even pay for your flight? What?
Meanwhile,
I
China's
thought that was
paying out
interesting.
$1 million or something like that for gold medals, and
Yeah,
I really put up big
I
money.
really did think
They
that
put up big
was
money.
interesting that they did have to raise money for their own airfare and travel. I thought that would be something that could have been covered by
Membership
the
dues.
federation, but
what does the membership numbers look like if you don't have the budget to send your athletes anywhere? That's what I would look at. And also look at the financial reports on the website, guys. That's what you should look up.
So I mean, I think that, and not to get out of the topic, I think that there's so many green flags to doing a ranking system and making it national. I don't know if anybody knows this. Ryan, you may not even know this, or Brandon, about me, but I started a nonprofit to do this specific thing a long time ago. Actually, you do know about it because we tried to resurrect it.
Mhm.
Nobody was interested. It's called Tibia. By like the shin bone.
We
Tibia,
paid a lot for a website.
Thai Boxing
domain name too,
Institute
have
of
now.
America. It was a Thai Boxing Institute of America, and we tried to get a 501c3. It was a lot of work, and it was basically to do this. We wanted to start a nonprofit. I did this. It had to be 17 years ago. I don't remember the date on the original application, but it was Thai Boxing Institute of America. It was a nonprofit to do all this stuff. I know you have to go, Julio. I will. I'll probably wrap it up, but that was basically my first attempt. We had a board, we had a whole financial plan, the whole thing. But maybe it's time to resurrect Tibia. You guys let me know what you think.
We need all the stakeholders, right? So that's what I would add to that, just as a call out, like what Julio is saying and Tiago is saying. I think this happens in the gym. I don't think anybody's going to be able to push it from the top down. I think that's been the problem, is that where we're at now is it has to go from the bottom grassroots up to where it has mass acceptance by everybody. So forming something like that would be more of an educational program to protect the education side of it. And believe it or not, that's what that Crew Muay Association was also trying to do. It's interesting to see all these little people who are trying to do it, but it never gets done because they're not getting the buy-in from the whole community. And really what we're looking toward, and this is a call out for leadership. Where is the leadership? If you're taking over an entire country and you're saying you're the leader of the country, where are you at? Where are you at? If you're helping us propel a sport toward international recognition, where are you? Because here's a bunch of people talking about that this is not being managed properly, and we're going to do it ourselves, obviously. But when you do that, we lose the synergy, we lose the continuity, so that if you're having that bout in Florida, it looks the same as it does in Arizona.
Right.
It looks the same as it does in Washington. And then all the promoters have the same. We can look at their ranking and say, hey, you clearly probably shouldn't be in this division, because of how you're ranked, and makes a lot of things easier. So I'm calling for unity, guys. Let's all get together and make this happen at the club level.
Yeah. Julio,
Yeah,
any
my final
thoughts?
thought on this is
Oh,
Go
sorry,
ahead, Julio.
Ryan. Go for it.
no, go ahead. I'll let Julio take us home here. My final thought is, this solves a lot of problems. I love
Huge
the
problems.
matchmaking component. It takes away all that ambiguity. Oh, the 0 to 3. Who's A? Who's B? Who's C? No, not anymore. Now you can have it hit it right on the head there. So
Who's a
solves
blue?
lot of
Who's a
problems.
blue con? Who's a fifth con fighter fighting fifth con fighters? And then you see what's the aptitude and the standard. Julio, your final
And
thoughts, please.
As far as grassroots, man, like Brandon
sorry.
talked about, sometimes, you can start it in your gym, and maybe it's just a matter of just calling up some of the local gyms in your area, the guys and sit down and have a cup of coffee and just talk about it and say, hey, I'm trying to do this thing. These are the benefits. It might benefit you as well. And if, this seems to work for us, X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these are the reasons why we'll benefit. There's a potential income revenue stream. There's other things, there's engagement, there's return customers. There's all kinds of reasons why you want to do this as a gym owner. And you could just start there with a cup of coffee, at a coffee shop, and grow it on a regional, small local level. And then it grows regional. Then before you know it, somebody in the national position takes a look at it and goes, hey, this has got some momentum.
Well, or we will bring it as part of the combine, and we'll make it part of what we're doing, because if that's what we need to do, we'll do that as well. So
well, the ripples
I like
will
that,
spread.
Ryan.
So that's the whole thing, right?
All right, we're ponying it up. Final thoughts?
Man, one of the things that I always say is you can't change the world if your home is a wreck. So you fix your home first, and then you can fix the outside problems. And that's why I always think internally. I'm gonna fix what I can control, which is my gyms, and from there, if that model works and people from the outside look, they can follow suit. Exactly what Ryan said is something that I've already started, man. I work with a lot of MMA gyms where they only come to me for striking. And a lot of these jiu-jitsu gyms, wrestling gyms, boxing gyms, they have Muay Thai 3 days out of the week. Like, who's teaching that class? Wouldn't you want somebody that's, the correct person? So we're thinking, even though we're thinking big, we're still kind of thinking small, because it's not just Muay Thai gyms. If anything, there's more jiu-jitsu gyms with a Muay Thai instructor than there are probably Muay Thai gyms. So it would fix a lot of things too, and that's something that I started already. I started kind of planting the seed to other business owners, other gym owners, and I told them, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I want to do. And maybe 2 years down the line, it'll make sense if I tell them, hey, I can send a gold band instructor over to you, and they'll know exactly what that is. But I need to start that inside of my gym for that to kind of pick some steam and, take off from there.
Agreed.
Well, there was a rhetorical question earlier about where the leaders are.
You're what did you?
I think
You went mute. I don't know if you said my name or not.
I think that's what he meant. I think he meant that, yes, you are one of those leaders, my friend.
I'll take it.
Well, thank you for joining us, Julio. It's been an awesome show. Yes, and we don't have a scheduled. We're hoping to actually have Master Toddy on our show, and
we've reached out to him, and he's agreed to come on. We just have to book him.
We're gonna try to book him for next week. I can't say that he's confirmed. Ideally, we'd love to have him on and pick his brain, because he does have a huge part to play in the historic role of Muay Thai here. He trained a lot of great athletes, and using a ranking system, using very Western systems, and was successful in his time. I kind of want to pick his brain about some of these things that we discussed. So tune in next week on Tuesday. It's every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, except for today. Today we were a little early, just make sure that we can have Julio on. I know he's a busy guy. There it is. Oh, that's a beautiful gym, bro.
Yeah,
Looks
it is.
good.
Looking good, man.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for
And
having us.
congrats on the show too, brother. Like we see you.
Fighting the good fight.
All right, guys.
Thank you for having us. Have a good day.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate all of you, huh? Take care.